I'm just giving this a bit of the old marine spray. The electrics too, because I've had it down at the sea. And what I want to do today is I want to use it to cut out an old... Which way are we going this? I think it's that way, yep. Cylinder tank, a copper cylinder tank, the one at the house. I'm going to use that for sheathing the boat. One of these babies here on top of it. So, and the flat end on top. Reckon that'll do the job, mate? Hey, there's some stuff caught in your beak. You always get it caught in your beak, don't you? Let me get that out of your beak. There we go. Let me get it. Look at it. There we go. Breathes it in his nostrils and gets it stuck. There she goes, standing proudly on the hard. There's really only one place where it's taking water, and it's down here. As you can see, I'll put the old XLO cloth on there and it completely stops it from leaking. That's where I've packed it with some wood and some caulking. We're going to trim that flush, but what I want to do is I want to put a piece of wood in from there to there. So I'm going to measure that up, cut it out, remove this, and try and get that all done, plus anti-foul inside it before the tide comes in. This is a bit of H5. It's a pile. That's what we wanted. This is my dear old dad's plane, and what a great plane it is. It's rusty, it needs a tidy up, but I found it on the houseboat in a cupboard. I don't know what much, just to smooth a wee bit. Right, I want to take this back out now. It stopped the sinking, and it's time to fill it properly. You can see the size of the gap. Oh, we stuffed that in good, didn't we? The first thing I want to do is I want to get this anti-fouling. I'm going to kill everything, so if there's any worms in there, they won't last long with this stuff. It's mean as. That's my bit of copper I cut out yesterday. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a hammer, straighten out a bit more. Ribbed brass nails, hopefully they stay in. It's starting to race the tide now. Now I ran out of battery on the phone, had to charge it while it was working, but my piece of wood actually is in there. And I've put some anti-fouling in there and some silicone. Just a little bit of gunk. Goes a long way. It doesn't look pretty, and each one's going to be knocked in really gentle because they can bend over. I haven't bent one yet, but I've done these before and I know they're soft. This is the last one on my plate. Just a tap, 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 because we're going into a really hard wood, and I think we're going to get the last one in without. We've got them all in nice and straight, and that's our copper plate done and dusted. That will keep our wedge of wood from falling out. I'm going to give that a wipe. This stuff pretty much stops marine life growing on the bottom of the boat. And 20 minutes it's dry, so when the tide comes in it will stay on. And 20 minutes is about probably all I've got. I don't know how it goes over this here, if it's going to stay on the actual sealant or not. Maybe it doesn't stay on that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our hole, hopefully now, plugged up. But we won't know until the tide comes in really to leak test it, but I'm pretty confident it should be okay. Job done, and I've just noticed there's a whole lot of whitebait there. Check that out. Well, they're not actually whitebait, they're little sprats. I thought they were whitebait, but no, there's a big school of them. This is some of the fish that the bigger fish have been feeding on. Just off the edge of the boat now, look at these shags working. There must be a whole lot of yellow-eyed mullet or something that they're feeding off. They're going mental, real boil-up happening. All along the coast there, heaps. All the seagulls hanging around them. Yeah, they're all diving, a whole school of them, right and close. I'm guessing it's probably yellow-eyed mullet, or it could have been those little fish that I thought were whitebait, I don't know, but they're going for it. Heaps of them. Yeah, they're smashing it. They're right in there. That's awesome to see. So much cool bird life down here. My guess is it's probably yellow-eyed mullet, or herrings. Just over here now, there it goes. What do you reckon that is, guys? Yeah, it's going for it. Could be a stingray. Oh, there's a seagull coming down. I reckon it's either a kahawai, a big kahawai feeding on fish on the top, or it's a kingfish, because kingfish do come up in here. It's probably not a bad day to put a lure out and catch some fish for lunch. It's highly unlikely, but hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained. It's a bit further out than we're going to be able to get with this thing, but you just never know. No, it's much further than that. Mind you, you might hear the splash and hit it. There's a kahawai out there. Oh, I love kahawai. Beautiful sashimi fish. Beautiful in the smoker. Beautiful battered. The trick is with your kahawai, obviously everyone talks about bleeding, but what they don't talk about is the icky and the jemmy. And also, leave it in your fridge for a while to solidify. Nothing following that in. Oh well, keep trying, we might get something, you never know. Well, the last thing you guys would have seen before this was me casting my line out, then my battery died again on the phone. I caught it. And look, this is what they were feeding on. This was in its gob. So just come off the boat, I've been finishing that job and I've got some nice kahawai. I'm going to leave that in the fridge overnight so it solidifies. I'm going to sashimi it probably. And I might even eat old mate there too, might as well. Good morning. I hope this video finds you well. Hey, check this out. The first real drop of snow. Just look at that. And to the hunter, well, it's the promise of pushing animals on the tops down to lower ground. There's plenty up there too. That's Mount Arthur. Beautiful place to go for a walk. Not so many deer on the tops now, but still plenty around the bottom and the fringes of pigs you'll find, and the occasional deer getting through, but not the numbers there used to be. With the help of young Damo, I've started to put in my vegetable garden for the winter. For a blind old bugger like me, it's almost hard to decipher what's a weed and what's a vegetable. Now that's a leek growing there, and these are weeds around it. And gardening is 90% pulling weeds out and doing work, and the harvesting's a bit that people like to watch. I don't know what this is coming up, I think it's probably a weed too, but we'll leave that for a while. But these are all weeds. And then over here we've got a leek growing. I'll put these leeks in because leeks are good tucker. These are just a pain in the arse. Look at that, it's twitch right through the garden. You pull it out and it keeps coming back. So I just come out and just do a little bit of weeding each day. I don't make a big drama of it. Just get them out by hand. Give the plants a chance to grow. Something's bitten that one off. There they go. This the twitch here, you can see it's got this root attached to it. It's like it grows every time you run the rotary hoe over it or you dig it up. And got a bit of rubbish in our garden too, we'll take that out. And there's a leek there. And the weed beside it's taking the nutrition away from it, so that comes out of the garden around it. We've managed to keep the birds off these new plants. Bit of net. And I found that the beside them here, this is the celery. And it grows really well with coffee grounds, and you can probably see in the garden if you look closely there's lots of coffee grounds right through all this here. Celery likes the coffee, so that's a good thing to plant around your celery. We're making sauerkraut out of our cabbages. These tiny little cabbages, they've taken a long time, they're very slow growing, but they're really delicious. Currently now we've got the Cholessis virus happening and it's killed all the rabbits, which is giving these plants a chance to get away. And I can see this here's been thrashed by something as it hasn't been covered up fully. Now the other plants are doing better. I'd say it's a sparrow because the other plants in here are actually fine. They're ready to start to take off. Young Damo's warming his engine up. It's a cold morning. He's off for a ride. And he's been a big help here on the farm. I tried little experiments with my plants. This one, I didn't cover it up at all. I left it out in the open. The other ones have covered up as you can see here. This is a beetroot. And it's actually done really well. Nothing's actually got it, and just taking these little roots out around, or at least these weeds out this morning, trying to get them out from their roots, not pick them off. But it's actually done well. It's survived the birds, so they don't always necessarily need to be covered up. Having said that, looking under here at the ones that are covered up in the glass house, or the plastic at least, they're getting this new growth much quicker. It's coming up faster, so it has made a difference. See you later, bro. Have a good day. I built this great big wasabi planter with 12 ply and 4x2s and bits of wood that were floating around the property and shade cloth. Well, these plants in here, they are in fact a raging success. Looking through the shade cloth, you can see they're disease free. They came from pure wasabi, and I paid $15 plus GST plus freight to get them here and grew them about 9 months ago. They're a different strain to my other wasabi that came from Stu Drever. Stu gifted me the ones I've got, and I've had his for 3 years. Stu's is a more hardy strain than that. and it's more purple in the rising colour. Wasabi is an amazing plant to grow, and you can put it with anything. It's got a really nice peppery taste, but it's also gives you a bit of a buzz because you get that sort of that high. One of the blessings in disguise with COVID and lockdowns was I learnt to garden, and I grew all sorts of things. This here looks like it's getting sparrowed to me. I've only just planted those. They're not touching the sorrel. Sorrel's an awesome plant to have in your garden. There's many types of sage. That's sage growing there, as is that, another type of sage. Some of you may recall what I made this here, this planter system. All this roots underneath here. This is old watercress. It didn't work. I've got something I can plant in there again. We can still use the soil, but it just failed. And I thought it would be good. I think the reason it failed was it needed a further depth for the roots to go than just this. It's old guttering off a house, and as you can see, it's just turned to weed. We've just abandoned it. So we're going to try and think of something else that we can plant in shallow soil. And if you guys know anything that would plant in the soil that shallow, maybe strawberries, wrong time of year now, let us know what you think. We've got these two beautiful crops here. Oh, this is going to be great. This is yams. Here's a yam poking out here. You can see a red one, look, in the soil. Starting to say, hey, it's time to harvest. They're still growing. And my mate Stu tells me that on the very first, oh, there's one out of the ground there, look. The very first frost is when you harvest yams. Look at this around here. They're actually popping right out. Really prolific. There's going to be so many underneath the ground there. I can't wait to tear into them. Oh, we've got a mushroom growing in there. How about that? Wow. Is that a mushroom you can eat or not? That's interesting. I'll just leave that. No, I'm going to take it out. We might be able to eat that one. Let's see. Is it a mushroom you can eat? I think we need to look at this here to know. And I'm going to say no, based on the colour of that. I'll say it's a toadstool. So we'll say it's a no-no. And brewing down here is my seaweed. This is the one I'm taking for the plants right now. It's a great food. And in the sun, this black container, we've got that bubbling away. Look at that. Seaweed again. It's a 1.5 years old. One of my subscribers, Shano and Nelson, he bought me out some worm juice out of his worm farm. And I didn't really think it was going to make much difference, so I thought, well, I'll be polite and I'll use it because Shano's a good bastard. I didn't want to throw it back his face. And I stuck it on my plants, and I was absolutely bloody amazed. They just took off. It was incredible. And so I made my own worm farm, and very easy to make, and I'll show you how to do that. This is the old farmhouse original claw bath. There's the claws down there. As you can see, she's made out of cast iron. And at the far end where the plug is, you can see the grid, which is actually off a beehive, and a bucket. If I take that off, you can see the worm juice. And the reason I keep it covered is there's a lot of coffee grounds in my worm farm, and my duck is addicted to coffee and drinks it. Otherwise, that would be full normally, but she's been into it again. That's super duck right there. Come here, mate. I need to clear that out of your nostrils. You've got some down in your nostrils again. You're going to let me clear your nostrils, eh? Are we going to get it? Oh, we're not going to get it. Okay. You want to keep that in your nose. You breathe in your own down. It's in your nostrils. Pretty much in here is coffee grounds and manure and any old compost. I had this blanket on for a long time. This is what you can put over the top. You can put a blanket on. You'll find if we lift it up, the worms will be underneath and the surface right there. It keeps it wet, stops it drying out, and you can see the worms underneath. All of the sawdust is out of the chicken house. So if I dig this up under here, you'll see lots and lots of worms and straw and other stuff that we've buried. The deeper we go, the more you find there'll be more worms. Plenty of them. And you can see a self-seeded lettuce here and another one here, because stuff grows like wild in here. We don't want weeds growing in there, so we'll take that out. Oh, I think we're going to end up pulling our lettuce out too. There's not much tuck left in that. I think we'll give that one to the chickens actually. Ladies, morning. Wrap your laughing gear around that. Good stuff. I like a bit of lettuce. So that one time of having worm juice on my plants, I realised how good this stuff is. And it's bloody amazing what it does. Getting back to your worm farm, so what you want is, you just need a bath like this, and at the bottom under the plug hole, I've got a wee bit of wire mesh, sort of like you'd use for making white bait net or a screen door on the fly door, or something you might have in a safe outside for storing meat. It's very, very fine mesh, and that goes across the plug hole, so this stuff doesn't all go down, but it allows it to drain out. And you can cover it in carpet, you can cover this here in cardboard, Or what I've done here is I've got the sawdust out of the chicken house, like you can see down here, and I've covered it in that, and there's worms in there. And this all breaks down, and underneath it, when it really breaks down, you get this really amazing soil. It's sort of like a, well, it's called worm casings, I think is the right word. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you know, but I'll just get a handful of it and I'll show you what it looks like. It's this stuff here, really beautiful, rich soil. So you can seed stuff on this, and as you saw, these lettuces are just growing wild in it because they love it. It's full of all sorts of nutrients. Main thing is to not let it dry out too much. Occasionally I'll put the hose on it, but right out, being outside, it gets a lot of rain, and it constantly produces this stuff here. So what I do is I mix that up, and I mix it with my old, very old seaweed that's broken down over there. I get a mixture of the two and a bit of water, and that's what I feed my wasabi plants. The beauty is we don't actually need a lot of the stuff. One of these is plenty. Keep super duck out of that. With the seaweed, you want to avoid getting that stuff on your hands because it stinks. I mean, it stinks. It's broken down protein. I mix that in just like that there. Woo, she's ripe. And rainwater. Now, we're not finished there. It looks really shitty, and it should be shitty. It's the duck pond, and it's full of good stuff. Duck poo, and everything else that's broken down in there. And I make sure I get a little bit off the bottom, and the wasabi just loves it. It thrives off it, as you'll see when I show you my other wasabi plants. This stuff here is magic. You can buy stuff in bags at the supermarket for your plants if you can't get this stuff, but for my thinking, anything off the land is the best, and it's the most sustainable for us. This is just some of the wasabi I got from Stuart. As you can see, the leaves all turned up because we've had some rain in the night. They turn up to gather the rain. There's really no way to avoid getting that shit on your hands. So it's just one scoop for each lot, across like this. Okay, maybe that's going to be 3 scoops looking at it. But these guys deserve the very best. These plants are actually quite old. I've harvested quite a bit from them, and we will be harvesting more soon. These are all my baby wasabis, getting regular water. It goes in the top here, and as you can see, it trickles down on all the plants. These are cuttings taken from the big plants. That's the full setup there for my planted, or cuttings at least, wasabi, and simply it involves doing this, pouring one of those in there, and that circulates. The solar panel at the top sends power down to the pump. The pump goes into this muscle buoy which is sitting in below, which is filled with water, as you can see, and circulates that water through all the plants through the day, and everything gets water, keeping it going. You need about at least 80% shade cloth, ideally like shade on the plants for them to thrive. And these babies are my pride and joy. It's the first time I've ever seeded wasabi myself. So hard to do. So hard to do. Out of 200 to 300 odd seeds, we got this many plants, which gives you an idea of about a 5% hit rate. And this here is just going to help them really thrive. And they can stay in the ground quite a long time and just come up later. At first I only had 7 plants. I've got more than 7 now, and there's some more starting to poke their heads up. But these are a raging success. Not easy to grow from seed, that's for sure. Radishes I've seeded to plant out. Beautiful Italian parsley, which is just great in any bit of tucker. I don't seem to be able to grow really big capsicums. In America they call them bell peppers. As you can see, I've still got tomatoes growing at this time of the year. Glasshouse is a godsend. The cherry tomatoes, they just keep on coming and coming. We've just harvested them, but more green ones coming. And up here it's actually time to harvest these. This is our black passion fruit. It just fell off, as you can see, it just fell off. I didn't even have to do anything. This one should come off pretty easy too. There we go. They're a beautiful passion fruit. Who doesn't love those? This here's Damo's little gardening project he's doing. He's done a great job. Lots of little new tomatoes growing, and I really love the smell of tomatoes. It's actually not the tomato, it's the plant. It's got a real pungent, strong smell. I love it. I really do. It's like, more of that, please. This old oak tree, it offers a bit of cover for my wasabi growing underneath it, down here. Get a bit more of that good stuff. And it keeps all the leaves off the shade cloth as well as the sun, because the tannin in the leaves is actually not good for your plants, I've discovered. One thing wasabi really loves is sulfur. So there's lots of eggs and eggshell. You'll see there's bits of eggshell down here and also eggs. So I've got an abundance of eggs left over, the ones we find that are either rotten, that we didn't find that the chickens have laid somewhere. And what we do is we crush them up. They're too rotten to eat or feed the dogs, but the plants can get the sulfur out of them. And this wasabi is just thriving. There's also a lot of coffee grounds in there too. They love coffee grounds. And manure and all the other good stuff. I planted these about 18 months ago. Well, maybe not quite that long ago. These plants are all from my mate Stuart Drever as well. He's taught me a lot about planting wasabi. All the stuff that's sitting on the top when the rain comes will filter through as well. So there we go. That's the wasabi. There are two species of praying mantis. One that comes from Africa and our native one. Well, I'm not sure if it's native, but the one that belongs to our country. And I'm pretty sure that's the native one because it's smaller. The bigger ones you want to squash or give them to your chickens. Chickens love them. A little bit of food I've gathered this morning, which isn't much. I just keep it in this basket in the sun for the day. And it just gets that sort of ripening effect before we can eat it. Well, he's not shy. He's not that far from me. Are you, mate? And I know what you're looking at. You're looking at my duck pond thinking, where the hell am I going to get those eggs from this morning? Yeah, old Damo's gone and collected them already. Oh, yep, he's going to head down there anyway. I bet you that's where he's headed. Yeah, it's that direction. Or maybe he's going to go up high. Oh no, he's going down low. He's going over the duck pond. There he goes. I think he's going to come down. There we go. Right, he's circling right there. Look at that. And is he going to go in there? Yes, he is. Right in the duck pond. And where are the ducks? They'll all come flying out probably soon. He's going down to raid my eggs. I'll see if I can drive down without him flying away. Get a bit closer. No, he's seen it's empty and he's taken off. Look, he's just packed his bags and gone. I don't know if you can see where he is, but he's down there somewhere. He's definitely left. Can you see that? 3 posts, 1 flew away. There was now 2. Oh, I can see Murray's coming up the driveway. They're all flying away. And there's Toyota Land Cruiser. How about that? I'll pull over the side. Oh, something, thanks Murray. I'm not sure what that is. Critical products. Oh, yep, that's medical stuff. Thanks, mate. This comes from NutriSearch, and what's in there is a product which takes your blood, or you get it taken in a laboratory, and they measure your subfractions of your LDL. See, we get our cholesterol measured and the doctors go, you got too high cholesterol, and I probably have because I like my fat. But there's good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, and then in the bad cholesterol, the LDL, there's also bad cholesterol. That's your LDL that's become glycated. And when it becomes glycated, eventually it becomes oxidated, and your body, it builds up in tiny little particles, the very small ones, and that goes through the membrane of the artery, the coronary artery or the carotid artery, and it stays there and it can't come out. It goes to the macrophages, and then you're pretty well stuffed then. That's what that's going to test. Gee, it's not even that late and the sun's already starting to go down. It amazes me, old super duck stays in the pond all night and it gets bloody freezing in there. Had ice on it this morning. Ducky, who's nearly 20 years old, she pretty much stays out, don't you, Ducky? Starting to feel it a bit, old girl. I picked this beauty off the road this morning. It's a bloody cracker. Nice big brush-tail possum. No, you wouldn't like to eat it, mate. And the sun's gone down. Hey, Po. Hey, Bixie. That'll be their tucker today. You pulled your blanket out of your box, have you? Well, you need that to keep warm, mate. Hey, scum. Yeah, you leave it, mate. I'll cut it up later. Don't touch. You leave it. That's your tucker tonight. Good boy. Right, so we can get that one throw. There we go. That'll keep him warm. G'day, Po. How you going, mate? Hey, how you going? Well, you're a good girl, aren't you? You're a good girl. Yeah, you're a good boy too, Pixie. Po's a good girl. Po, come. You have a sniff. You know what that is, mate, don't you? Okay, away you go. Leave it. Good girl. Right, you behave yourself. Don't want any fights over that possum. We're all getting a piece, okay? It's not just for you. So you chill and I'll let you out. Pixie, come. What are you doing, mate? What are you doing? You're not sure. You weren't sure there, eh? Okay, that was a bit funny. You want me to jump straight out when I say that? We'll pick those beauties later. Oh, we've got quite a few. Hey, don't stand on the mushrooms. Oh, Bigsy, you're standing on the mushrooms. Jeez, get away from the mushrooms. There, you squashed it. No, leave it, Poe. Get out of there, Poe. Away from your mushrooms. Bigsy, come on. Away from there. Murphy's bloody law. Got a whole paddock here. And it's a wee patch of mushrooms. Of course, I'm looking at it, and they're looking at it, and they put their feet on it. And it begins again. They play pretty well, but I keep an eye on them. Oh, this pace is bloody fast. Where's he gone? Jeez. It's like teasing Bigsy. My Poe's going to join now. It's going to be a game changer. She'll smash somebody. That'll do! Get out of there, Pace! Pace, come! Pace! Good dog. Good dog, Pace. Good boy. Right, we'll let those two play together. Good boy, Pace. Pace, listen to that command. You're a good boy, aren't you, eh? You're a good dog. Good ears, mate. Good ears. I was impressed there. Being pack creatures, one-on-one's fine, but there's three there. It can turn pear-shaped bloody quick. It's happened before. I've had dogs long enough to know that I don't want to have any scraps. It's a horrible thing when you have a dog fight with your pack. At any time it can turn pear-shaped. Just one little thing can piss one off, and next minute you know you got a real ball of aggression on your hands, with teeth going everywhere, and it's not pretty. It's your kai tonight, mate.
Yeah, I'll take the toenails.
Take the toenails, I'll take them off. Take that off there. Sharp little buggers.
What?
You've been like scratched by a possum before, mate?
No, not yet.
You don't want to either.
I've avoided it.
Yeah, you don't want it either.
No.
We'll pick them up because the bloody dogs will actually take this out of the grass, and then where that other one go? Oh, straight down here, is it? Here we go. It's done. It looks about the same.
I'll walk into the pub with that on.
Now a lot of you guys will go, well, why haven't you skinned it, Clay? Well, that's because it's natural for a dog or a wolf to pull the fur off themselves, ain't Poe? So Poe's getting front leg, and no, we'll give you a back leg. There you go. You, mate, you get a front leg and a back leg. See into that. Nice back leg to you, fella. There you go. Into your cave. See if you can do a Bruno on that, buddy, and crunch it right up. It's got all the good stuff in it. There, it's got the omega-3. You're a good boy, eh? Good tucker. Have you eaten yours, Pace? I know, he's just come out to have a look. Did you eat yours, mate, or is it still in the kennel? Well, you just came out to see what Bigsy had, alright. So I stuck the body in there, and it's typical of Poe. We're going to go in straight for the guts, just like a wolf. She's got a nice piece of meat there, but I know, you got to chew all this shit up, don't you, and all the intestines. There's a lot of fat in there, there's actually a lot of goodness. So what the dog gets from that is it gets all the broken down cellulose and vegetation that dogs can't break down themselves, and in there's also a lot of really good bacteria their stomach actually needs. It's actually a good healthy tucker. Of course there's also worms is there as well, and that's why you worm your dogs every 12 weeks, to give you a little on the farm. But that's probably as good as tucker you'll get for a dog, that. Hey, Poe? It's just like spaghetti, isn't it, mate? Hey? Just tear that guts out. Is that making you hungry, bro?
Oh, beauty.
Hey guys, it's just another day. Damo's going to take the dogs again for another walk after they've had their possum. So they actually, I don't know how many walks you've done today. One already?
One already.
Oh, yep, and I've done one. So they're getting 3 today. It's been a funny old day. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Be good. Can't be good. Shut up. Be careful. See you later. The sheep's barring at me because it wants me to bring it some food. There's a whole paddock of grass out there. I want the sheep nuts.